Mr. Pham? Here. Mr. Turner?
Here.
Chairman Sanders?
Here.
Chairman Sanders, you do have a quorum, Ms. Bradford.
So, thank you, Mr. Curtis. At this time, we will turn it over to you for our presentation of Employee of the Month.
Mr. Chairman, it's my distinct honor every month to honor an employee of Cannon County Schools. And we'd like for Miss Olivia Neal to come forward. Miss Olivia Neal is our recipient of the Employee of the Month for the month of February. And she texted me twice to make sure, because we got out of school today because of the storms. I informed her that the storms would be passed at 6:30. Was I not correct?
Yes.
So let me read you what Mr. Pitts said about Olivia. Olivia Neal, Secretary at Short Mountain School, has been at Short Mountain for only 2 years, but she has proven herself to be an extraordinary secretary. Her people skills are excellent, and she relates so well with the faculty, the parents, and the students. All of them trust her and depend on her for special help. Students use her for special advice, and she plays the role of the nurse when the real nurse is out. Olivia's computer skills are excellent. She is very familiar with all the new programs for attendance and bookkeeping, and has served as an advisor for other schools on these new programs. If she is out with a sick child, she uses her Chromebook to complete tasks while she's out. Many times, she puts in after-school hours to perform her secretarial duties. Olivia has assisted as building test coordinator and helped out on our school safety plan. She is such an asset to Short Mountain School. We are so very proud to have her as a part of our school. Dean Robert Pitts. Excuse me. So I'm going to present her certificate, and Olivia, you get to read the press release before the press does. So that's good. If somebody can get me a picture here so we can put
Is
that.
Jennifer's getting it, Mr. Curtis?
Okay, Jennifer is the recipient. Very good. Thank you, ma'am. So we'll get ready for everybody. Oh, you've got some guests. One of my good friends, Mr. Charles Stokes, who I've known many years, and Miss Christie. So we're glad to have you. Look at everybody's camera. Let's look over right here. Yeah, bring the family up here next. Bring the family up. You couldn't help without them. I think Mr. Sneffers last month said a treat. So put them up here. Let's get them picture. All right, I'm going to let her hold the certificate. Do that. Thanks so much. Congratulations. Just a little, just a little. Thank you very much. All right, I will.
Okay. The comments and expressions of opinion of individual board members during a board meeting represents the maker's personal position on the matter or matters being discussed. Such comments and expressions of opinion do not necessarily represent the position of the Cannon County Board of Education or any other individual member. Anyone wishing to record the meeting, please notify us at this time and bring your device to the front for the best sound quality. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda at this time. Motion's been made.
Mr. Chairman, you do have one bus trip you need to add there, so.
Okay. Motion to approve the revised agenda, adding trip 3506.
3523.
Excuse me, that's right in front of me, 3503. Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Did he make the motion? Okay, thank you. Mr. Turner, Mr. Pham made the second. To approve the revised agenda, March 14, 2019 meeting of the Cannon County Board of Education, items 2B, bus trip number 3503 to be added. Mr. Fanning? Aye. Mr. Turney? Aye. Chairman Sanders?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 3 ayes, no nays.
Motion carried. Item 2 on our agenda is the consent agenda. Entertain a motion for action. Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Fanning, seconded by Mr. Turney to approve the consent agenda. A, approve the minutes of the February 14, 2019 meeting of the board. B, approve a bus trip number 3503-3526, which is senior trip. And C, approve the staff development committee. Mr. Fanning? Aye. Mr. Turney? Aye. Chairman Sanders?
Aye.
Chairman, 3 ayes, no nays.
Motion carried. Item 3, declare a portable classroom at Short Mountain School as surplus. We talked about this in our workshop Tuesday night, so at this time I entertain a motion.
Motion to declare portable Short Mountain School surplus.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Fanning, seconded by Mr. Turney to declare Short Mountain School portable as surplus property. Mr. Fanning? Aye. Mr. Turney?
Aye.
Chairman Sanders?
Aye.
Chairman, 3 ayes, no nays.
Motion carried. Item 4, Ms. Patterson talked to us Tuesday night about a diabetes grant, but I believe we were informed something about that didn't work out, so don't believe we need to take any action on that at this time, but we know Ms. Patterson will definitely keep trying. We'll move on to item 5, approve budget amendments number 5, number 6, number 7.
Mr. Chairman, routine budget resolutions, and they're all between the line item, but it is Bob's salary, so it had to be changed. So these are all routine. We'll go to county commission for their April meeting.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Fanning, seconded by Mr. Turney to approve budget amendments number 5, number 6, number 7. Mr. Fanning? Aye. Mr. Turney?
Aye.
Chairman Sanders?
No.
Two ayes, 1 nay. Motion failed.
2 of these are salary increases. Is that what I'm understanding?
Let us probably elaborate a little bit more, Mr. Chairman, on that. The former pre-K director was paid in July for annual leave. The salary scale for the director of the pre-K program and teachers had not been finalized at the time the budget was passed. The other resolution, number 6, was the Health Services CCHS Supervisor Director. And the salary scale for the director and the workers had not been finalized at the time the budget was passed. And number 7, the seat restraint grant for seat belts installed in a newly purchased bus.
Did we discuss the salary increases during budget time, even though it wasn't finalized?
We did, Mr. Chairman.
So if we discussed it during budget time, could it not have been put in the budget?
Probably so. Douglas may give us some more indication on that.
Salary increase came after the year started, and Shannon had to go back and do some back pay of the supervisors.
So these have already been paid out.
Yes, part of
particular reason why these have been brought after they've been paid out? So we had our budget passed, what, October?
We had money in the budget, but the way we're going, in the year we want, the salary, that we have now, changed after the budget. I have to Shannon to tell you exactly when they changed the name. I don't really know, you know, Curtis.
It was somewhere in the neighborhood of, we discussed it at the budget meeting, but it was right there toward the end of the year, of the fiscal year. And then, of course, the fiscal year started in July 1.
And took place on August, September.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, yes, sir.
I guess.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
So did we, I'm sorry, I don't recall discussing for the supervisors, are we going to be looking at the same thing for other supervisors?
There was an adjustment made on the supervisor's scale, and we had discussed that in our budget, preliminary budget considerations. And I know that we had discussed that before the county commission did what they did, I want to think in August after we had done it, so I implemented that as needed. It was just on, it was on a couple of slight adjustments, is what it was.
There will be more coming.
What reason we want to get these done now? We want to get our budget in line with what's in the plan where we go to our reimbursements. State.
The routine resolutions that I recall usually are, what, in our May meeting?
Yeah. We've done all along. We'll have some, in June, some of those funds.
Right.
If you want to wait until June 5, but this will just allow us to get our budget in line, or we can tell what we're doing, in line with what we plan to do, the state, grants, pre-K, coordinated school, yeah.
Which resolution? Seven.
Number 7 is still with the seatbelts. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution 7. Regarding our seatbelt grant. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Sanders, seconded by Mr. Fan, to approve resolution number 7. Mr. Fan? Aye. Mr. Turner? Aye. Chairman Sanders?
Aye. Motion carried. Definitely understand wanting to get the budget in line by all means. I was under the impression this had not been paid out at this time. I guess question I have is, as soon as the budget was finalized, why was that not brought to us at that time?
I was understood that it was, Mr. Chairman. That's what I thought.
I can tell the rate is right, I mean, but we're not over the budget in that line item, these line items yet, but we will be.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we table resolution 5 and 6 to our April meeting. Do we have a second? Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Sanders, seconded by Mr. Fan, to table resolution 5 and 6 to the April meeting of the Cannon County Board of Education. Mr. Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Turner. Chairman Sanders.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 3 ayes, no nays.
Motion carried. Okay, item 6 on our agenda is approve the senior trip itinerary and rules of conduct. We had several of the staff members talk to us Tuesday night. The rules appear to be the same. How many chaperones do we have going? Is that on one of the things we already did in the consent agenda? I know we talked about it the other night. Right. On this, it just has Jeremy and Tim Penny.
I think there's 9. I think there's 9. I can barely hear y'all, but I think there's 9.
We can look on that other form, Mr. Chairman, that was already approved. Check real quick, give us a second, I'll check that.
If there's 9, that should be enough. All of them.
3526, number of adults, 10.
Got it.
Okay, there it is.
I thought I had checked it and there was none.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at names.
So. Yeah, well, if they write them straight down, you lose them all. If
Gotcha.
they go across, you get them, so.
Gotcha. I knew sometimes it showed us something that didn't. Thank you.
I try to keep my eye on that.
Thank you. All right. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Thank you.
Motion's been made and second. Call roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Sanders, seconded by Mr. Turney, to approve the Cannon County High School senior trip itinerary and the rules of conduct. Mr. Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Turner. Chairman Sanders.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 3 ayes, no nays.
Motion carried. Item 7 is approve the Auburn School Septic System upgrade bids. We talked extensively about this as well. So we heard from our maintenance supervisor as well as the 2 bidders.
job, two different jobs.
But they do meet the specs that were outlined. I mean, I see what you're saying, they talked about two different scopes of work, but looking at what Mr. Arnold requested, it is meeting those guidelines. Both of them were getting what we asked for. Mr. Arnold here. Did they go back out to the site? Or did you know?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman.
They were supposed to.
Time frame was looking, they were going to try to get back out there, but I did not receive any indication of that.
From what I understood about the field lines, those were done before that walking track was put in?
Yes.
Am I right?
Correct.
If we have those redone, we're gonna have to redo that walking track. I didn't get a chance to go out there, but I don't, and that would be a whole nother cost, because those walking tracks have all been done on grants, is that right, Mrs. Patterson, Lisa?
I didn't do the all.
You didn't do that? But most likely it was probably done on a grant. Well, my recommendation personally, Odom is saying that they would put in a new septic tank. On the second thing there that he wrote out for us, it doesn't have the numbers. This is, after visiting again, the cost, the health risk involved, a new tank will be the same price, less risk, and better for the overall functionality. He knows more about it than I certainly do. I asked him the other night, and I'm thinking out loud a little bit here, on the cost of that as far as fitting that, because it sounded like, it was dug just kind of based on what they thought was needed and didn't need a bottom. So he's holding to the price of the $3,600 for the tank, hoping that it'll fit in there. So the only additional cost we'd be looking at, if he has to do something there, and putting a new tank in, then that would be on him. And then obviously we would just pay if he has to hit more rock. I get what you're saying. If it was me, I want the whole thing done and done right, but Mr. Ricky Arnold knows more than I do, and these two guys have been out there.
Does Mr. Owens include the grease trap we were talking about? I didn't see it listed.
I don't see it listed, but in talking with him, or the other night talking to him, I did get that impression. And then in his scope of work, he talks about grade out dirt and gravel, install clean outs and hook up all connections.
But Mr. Chairman also says to set new tanks full.
Okay.
The fourth line down, fifth line, 1, 2, 6th line down. It says set new tanks according for property
That's
gravity
the
and flow.
overflow tank.
That's the overflow tank. Okay. But that's still good to point out. So he's talking about putting a new septic tank in the main and the overflow tank.
And the grease trap is where we're having the major problems from,
I
too.
think, well, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think dealing with it in the past, the grease trap has been handled by, Roto-Rooter or, Duke. That's really their name.
That is really their name? Okay. I thought,
Am I wrong about that, Mr. Prentice?
I think that's correct in the past, yes.
I mean, I'm not, well, I'm not a, but it is of utmost importance that this needs to,
and you're saying the grease trap? No, sorry.
I'm just saying the project.
Oh, the project, okay,
I'm
okay.
not going to speak on how things get done, because I don't know.
Okay. Has Mr. Odom done work for us in the system before? Does he might have?
Mike Hutchins did the high school, where we dug up the floor in there, and he did a great job. I mean, if y'all been in the high school since that's been done, you can't tell. I didn't know what it was going to look like, but it looks really good. I mean, and, the water's flowing like it needs to, and everything's working good there. That's the only one I have experienced with. But Ricky would be, I think they both do a great job. They're both very reputable, and I think they do great. I don't know. Let me ask Ricky about the grease trap.
Okay. Take a few minutes.
I thought about this over the past few days, and granted, I'm not an expert with this, but I know we've worked with some experts. I know what it's like when you start a project and get heating and something you can't turn around. The biggest problem I have is this possibility of an extra cost we have to bedrock, and we don't even have a figure on that. And granted, I'm okay with a new tank. We discussed that workshop, but at the same time, there's still going to be an unknown cost there, and I don't have enough information to make an improvement on that. I need more information. I'm not comfortable with that. I want to get more information before I make a sound decision on that. It says if the movable rockets hit extra fees, how much is that? I'm not comfortable with that.
That's what we think, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
That's what they're saying.
And I know excavating is not cheap, so.
And you make a good point, Mr. Attorney, but, I mean, are we really even gonna know, I mean, until he gets in there doing it?
I don't think he would, just me personally, I need at least an estimated figure of some kind. I just feel like I need more information. The fact that an extra fee is not enough to satisfy me. I just think about what I'd do if it was my house, if it might come out of my pocket. I understand we have to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars, so.
What?
Did you hear back from?
But
Is this open? It's all dug up and open?
No, we got to put a riser on the top, and then it is capped, and then we do have the tape around it, security tape around it, so nobody hits the riser in that parking area there. So you've got the riser, and it's probably about maybe 6 inches above the surface area, so no, it's not open. And it's working right now, okay. We've had to pump it, and with the ones that were discussed the other evening, and now we're going to be certainly working again, pump it again if it is needed at the end of the year. Right now, cafeteria is, water's vacuum flow and everything's flowing. What happened going into that tank got clogged is what it did with the amount of solids coming through from that grease trap failed, and that's what happened.
And what they told us to do, they've given us procedures of what to do until this summer. We're boiling water on the stove, reporting out every drain, dish machine drain, three department sink drains. I mean, Pat and Mike are really banging in that to make sure it's we get it. And that's what Roto-Rooter does. doing something like that to guide you on which way to go. And I wouldn't do that because I do 100%. That's just not my opinion.
It's kind of a predicament. I don't have enough information.
I ask stupid questions all the time, so I'll ask another one. And y'all know I'm not spending any more money. How do we go about finding out how much rock is there, what that cost might look like? Is that,
If we requested him to rebid it, which I know we don't want to do things based off of assumptions, I understand that. That's why I'm thinking about it more, but I was under the assumption that when they came back and redid this, that would be considered. But now maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we need to go back and speak to them again to clarify that. Which I know we talked about bidding on the same job, that was the main factor too. That they had to be bidding on the same work.
well, I see that different. They meet the specs that Mr. Arnold wrote out. And I mean,
And I understand that.
you have two different people, so they're going to go about doing it two different ways. One recommends one way, and one recommends another.
That bid does include the years.
It does. Because that's, I mean, Mr. Owens would have that question, well, you know, how do I find out how much rock is there until I dig down? And now that we've had all this discussion, we could come back with a bid from Mr. Hutchins saying, well, yeah, I'm gonna add that to mine now. I've seen it done. And then he's gonna say the same thing, well, I need to get in there and dig and see how much rock is around there. I just don't know that, I don't know that you can get that until you get to the project.
And I know we're never going to get an exact amount on it, and I realize that. I don't know if it would be possible to push the worst-case scenario, even with the other guy is, I mean, you know, we want to bet on the worst-case scenario, you know what I mean? And I've already thought about that, they can't use dynamite, because it's too close to it. So that's going to be out, so they're going to have to solve it. And that's a lot of work. But that's again, it is.
Based on the recommendations of our supervisor of maintenance, food service supervisor, and hearing these guys talk, I'll make a motion to award the bid to Odom Excavating at a price of $10,500. Do we have a second? Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll say.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Sanders, seconded by Mr. Fan, to award the bid of the Auburn School Septic System Repair and Upgrade to Odom Excavation at the price of $10,500. Mr. Fan.
This right. It seems though it's in the situation it's in. And we need to fix. I'm gonna say aye.
Mr. Turner.
No.
Chairman Sanders.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 2 ayes, 1 nay.
Motion failed.
Motion to have it rebid, be more specific. On estimated cost.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to rebid the project with more specifics.
Especially when it comes to cutting the bed.
Do we have a second?
I'm all for getting it fixed, so I'm not trying to handle this process. I just want to make sure that we're doing our homework, so I'm going to vote yes on it.
So your second motion?
Yes, I'm going to second that.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Fan, seconded by Mr. Turner, in regard to the Auburn septic system to rebid the project to include more specifics, particularly excess rock removal. Mr. Fan? Aye. Mr. Turner?
Aye.
Chairman Sanders?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 3 ayes, no ayes.
Motion carried. Item 8 is to approve revisions to the board policies. We talked extensively about the 5 of these at the workshop. Tuesday night, we can take these individually, or we can take these one by one, or how you all want to do that.
Mr. Chairman, I would like you to take them individually.
Okay.
I advise you to do that, sir.
All right, at the request of Mr. Curtis, we will take these individually. So hopefully, maybe you have your motion sheets ready.
I am ready to
All
roll.
right. Policy 1.407 is mainly just changing that last section there.
Yes, ma'am. Or yes, sir, that last line of removing the former director's name there, just leaving that blank, so you don't have to do that again. Until you want to change policy.
All right. Entertain a motion. I'll make a motion to approve policy 1.407.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Call roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Sanders, seconded by Mr. Fan, to revise Kent County Board of Education policy number 1.407 to remove former director's name in line 2 of page 3. Mr. Fan?
Aye.
Mr. Turner?
Aye.
Chairman Sanders?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 3 ayes, no ayes.
Motion carried. Item 8B is policy 1.803, which is addressing tobacco-free schools. We talked about that, and Mr. Curtis has emailed and provided a printed copy here of the final results of the discussion, I should say.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is the result of the discussion we made the other evening. I did do some additional research in regard to this, and the reason that those other lines on our current policy, line 5 through 7, was, really 5 through 11, was dismissed or changed was because of the state interpretation of state law. So what Ms. Lonnie told us the other evening was exactly correct, and that's why it wasn't in there, and they recommended that we not put that in there, even though it is NTCA, but they are having difficulties in other systems to make sure, because they were trying to say the court shall do this or shall do that, and it's up to law enforcement to make that determination, not school principals. So there was some dispute about that in the law, and that's why that was done. And as you can see, I would like members to read that to make sure, and I'll be glad to read that for the board if you so desire.
Please do.
Tobacco-free schools, this will be policy number 1.803 proposed to the Kent County Board of Education. All uses of tobacco, electronic, slant, battery-operated devices, vapor products, and all other associated paraphernalia are prohibited in all of the school district's buildings and in all vehicles that are owned, leased, or operated by the district. And you can see the code for Tennessee Code annotated number 1, which is USCA, which is 20 USCA. You can see there on your back sheet. and NTCA 39-17-1604, paragraph 6. Smoking and vaping shall be prohibited in all public seating areas, including but not limited to bleachers used for sporting events or public restrooms, and again quoting TCA 17-604, paragraph 10. Employees in schools in the school district will not be permitted to use these products while they are participants in any class or activity in which they represent the school district. Signs will be posted throughout the district's facilities to notify students, employees, and all other persons visiting the school use of these products is forbidden. The following notice shall be prominently posted, including in each ticket booth for elementary and secondary school sporting events. Smoking is prohibited by law in seating areas and in restrooms. Penalties for student use of tobacco, electronic battery-operated devices, vapor products, and all other associated paraphernalia as prohibited above. Line 13, first offense. Tobacco cessation classes, $50 at Cannon County High School and in school suspension for 3 days. Second offense, 5 days in school suspension and 10 hours of community service. Third offense, 30 days in alternative school and a citation to court. And then the fourth and subsequent offenses, 45 days, 45 days alternative school.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. I do have one question, and I know it's been in our policy and already been some action taken, but it was brought up the other night. I don't remember what the response was. Unfortunately, we have this problem in our elementary schools. So I guess, so how does this affect them? Can they still abide by each of these as far as the alternative school and the court?
Mr. Chairman, the policy would be across the school system, including elementary schools. And again, the tobacco cessation class, they would have to attend Cannon County High School to do the cessation class. Or if there was an incident, we could possibly send Ms. Cook, who conducts those classes, to those individual elementary schools if there was a larger problem or more than one student. Not they could attend the tobacco cessation class at Cannon County High School and pay the fee.
For our elementary students, do we provide transportation to the high school, or is that on the?
I'm sure that could be processed, Ms. Black. Ms. Black, I'm sure that could be possible to allow our students, if they were to be cited for this, to come to the high school to back up to the tobacco class to the high school, but probably have to be picked up by the parents afterward because this is done after school hours. The elementary principals may want to chime in on this.
I know in the past when I had to send some fifth graders, we did not provide transportation. Like it was for the Saturday class, is that what we're talking about?
Well, the tobacco cessation classes, whenever that's offered.
If you want us to provide transportation, we definitely can, but I don't know that we ever pay.
I was gonna say, I'm actually thinking the opposite, kind of what some other members said. The more we can inconvenience them. No.
We're not all about inconveniencing parents, but at some level, there has to be consequence.
Exactly.
And so the ones I've had to send before, the parents had to make sure they got there,
Okay.
and they had to pick them up.
Okay, so currently we're not providing transportation. Okay, I'm good with that, unless y'all see reason to. I was just wondering, because I want the elementary schools to be able to use this and enforce it and to be able to support them as well, so. Okay, with that, we have a motion for policy 1.803. Motion's been made, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Turney, seconded by Mr. Fan, to amend Cannon County Board of Education Policy number 1.803. And then I put in there eliminate lines 1 through 6, replacing with TSB recommendations, plus the first offense, second offense, third offense, and fourth offense as written. Mr. Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Turney.
Aye.
Chairman Sanders.
Aye.
3 ayes, Mr. Chairman, no nays.
Motion carried. Item 8C is policy 2.805, purchasing. I believe it goes from a 2-page to a 3-page, talking about online purchasing. Is that the major one, Curtis?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, they have added, TSBA recommends adding the section dealing with online purchasing on line 27 of page 2. And that goes all the way to line number 17 in page 3, and that is purchasing with federal grant funds. Recommendation to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I make a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Sanders, seconded by Mr. Turney, to comply with TSBA sample policy by adding sections on online purchasing and purchases with federal grant funds in Canton County Board of Education policy number 2.805. Mr. Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Turner.
Aye.
Chairman Sanders.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 3 ayes and no nays.
Motion carried. Item 8D is policy 4.209, which deals with alternative credit options. One, it was cleaning up some language and also number of days. And Mr. Curtis, if I wrote this down right, you recommended appeal within 10
10
days.
Yes, sir.
Anything else on that that I'm missing?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. Alternative credit has changed over the years. And last time this policy was revised was in 2004, and then issued in 2005, 10/13/2005. So, a lot of things have changed alternative-wise, and which you got the indication from TSBA from the different TCA codes there. So, I would recommend approval.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Call the roll, please.
Motion made by Mr. Sanders, seconded by Mr. Turney, to revise Canton County Board of Education policy 4.209 to the TSBA sample policy and insert the number 10 days on line 29. Mr. Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Turney.
Aye.
Chairman Sanders.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 3 ayes, no nays.
Motion carried. Item 8E deals with policy 4.603, promotion and retention. And after much discussion, I believe, Mr. Curtis, you asked us to consider tabling this.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, probably if we'd looked a little bit closer, this item would not have been placed on this agenda because I do want elementary principals and high school principals, all of those individuals involved in looking and rewriting, looking at instructional coaches or RTI coach, and also with Dr. Milton, looking through that policy, making sure that we do it right. And I would recommend tabling this motion until the April 11th, 2019 meeting.
I was just trying to look. We had, I know you were concerned, but we had some questions about, actually, I think, Mr. Fan, you had a question. What was that? I just want to make sure they discussed it.
I'm not a fan of socially promoting these kids, but that's my opinion. I think a lot of them, if they were held back and worked a little harder. I know a lot of you principals disagree with that. Sometimes I think we're just trying to pass them on and get rid of them. That's what most of us are going with these days.
I concur with Mr. Fan, and I would like to see that discussed. I was just looking at the retention section here. Is it in the current?
You were up, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, the new one. Line, on page 2, line 14, it does read, a student may be retained with such retentions in the best interest of the student. Student may not be retained more than once. Is that a change, or is that new? Or have we even got to look that far?
I think the closest thing that we have, Mr. Chairman, on page 2, it says for the purpose of our current policy, for the purpose of determining the effectiveness of retention toward improving student achievement, progress retention shall be monitored for at least 3 years until the student exits the school system. It's probably the closest thing we have in regard to that, about multiple retentions. Principals may want to talk about that. Any principals want to say something about that? Hey, Emily, I think I saw your head nodding, so assistant principal.
And I thought you were asking to table that one, so the principals could talk at the principals meeting about it. Is that what you were asking on that one?
Well, he was asking, the chairman was asking in regard to, on line 14 of the new, it says a student may be retained with such retention is in the best interest of the student. However, students shall not be retained more than once in any